time on Roadkill, we rescue my Firebird.
We built it in 3 days.
Now burnouts.
Last time on Roadkill, Finnegan bought one of his dream cars, a 1969 Pontiac Firebird that we slapped together in 2 days. And that is not the smart thing to do when your goal is to run in Tire Rack's One Lap of America competition. This event is historic for being grueling. It's a week on the road with a massive road trip. It's like 8 racetracks, multiple events at each track. There's autocrossing, road courses, drag racing. It is punishing. And as we've proved over and over on Roadkill, building a race car in 2 days is a surefire way to end up broken down at the side of the track. And of course, the Firebird was no different. On day 2 of the One Lap of America, with Tony Angelo behind the wheel, something blew up in the 400 cubic inch Pontiac engine that we had slapped together the day before. Big surprise. We ended up loading the car on a U-Haul and heading for Finnegan's house in Georgia to see what we could do to get back in the race.
So it's Monday, and we should be at Road Atlanta right now in Georgia, but we're not because yesterday broke the engine. But the good news is my house is on the way to Road Atlanta, so we stopped here. My buddy Daniel Boshiers brought us some parts. We're not gonna be beaten. We're gonna pull the engine out of the car, we're gonna go through it and see if we can rebuild it right here at my house, and then we're gonna pick up with the tour wherever we can. I mean, it heads to Florida tomorrow, and then it comes up to Virginia the next day, so somewhere in there, we will be back on the road in the poncho, and we will keep on trucking.
There's going to be a lot of wrenching going on in this thing today, and Alana and I decided it just would not be cool for us to keep racing in our comfy brand new Hellcat, and so we're here to thrash along with them and see how quickly we can get this thing back in competition.
Are we allowed to just push you around the track, Mike? Maybe we don't need to put an engine in it.
Hey, I will push this thing across the finish line if I have to, but given the fact that we have tools and we have time, let's make it run.
So the first thing we have to address is that engine. It doesn't want to spin anymore. We think it's the bottom end. So the 400 is going to come out. We're going to pull the crankshaft out, see if we can sort of clean it up, put new bearings in it, new oil pump, windage tray, put an AccuSump on it, which is an oil accumulator that will deliver high pressure oil anytime the car needs it on track, and then we will get back on the road.
There wasn't a bottom bolt in this. Oh,
That got worse.
What happened?
that escalated quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need some more rags.
A lot of people are like, you guys were unprepared. How could you have started this race, you know, with a car this like patched together? Thing is, for us, nothing ever gets done until it has to. So this is a good way to get a whole car finished in a few days. You got to get it done and hit the road, and then you're required to fix it. Whereas if you were home, you'd sit around and procrastinate and play with the kids and have a beer, go, I don't wanna. Wife would go, I don't want you to. This way it has to happen. It's a genius plan, actually. It's the Roadkill plan. You should get on board with it. Drive shaft out.
That doesn't look good at all.
No, that's Wallard.
Yeah. So when we were at Diversified Creations, we didn't have the right pilot bearing for the back of the crankshaft. And we took the wrong one, turned it down in the lathe, put it in there, and we got the trans installed, but apparently the input shaft wasn't exactly in there the whole time.
Yeah, it wasn't in that bushing at all.
Yeah,
You
and
can
so it was actually running around the outside of the bushing.
Which explains vibration, which explains
Trans coming
popping out of gear,
And
which
potential
explains
engine damage.
How that's all hashed. I don't think it's engine damage. I found no major nightmares so far on the cylinder head or in the cylinders that I could see once I took this off. I think all our problems are going to be a connecting rod bearing, in my opinion. Or we could have just taken them out.
They got your shoe.
Yeah.
Just put that anywhere.
You might lose a little bit of water.
Oh, it's spun.
It spun it.
Wow.
Yeah.
The rod bearing actually spun. And what that means is not only is the surface that the crank rides on all eaten up, but the two halves of the bearing shell actually spun around in the end of the connecting rod housing, which you can tell because the back of the bearing is all chewed up. It's all mushroomed out from heat. There's spin marks in the rod, and of course the crank journal's hashed. And it looks like we've got that at least on 1 and 2, and maybe also on 3 and 4. And that's gonna be an oil starvation issue, is my suspicion.
It's Tuesday, and right now, everyone that's currently injured and moving along on One Lap of America is in Florida. Having fun, racing.
At Sebring.
Yeah, at
legendary
Sebring.
track.
Track on my bucket list.
Me
We're
too.
not there.
We're not there.
And we found out the 400 we built out of used parts, spun multiple bearings, wasted the crank, wasted the rods. We spent all afternoon yesterday surfing Craigslist and calling everybody I know in Georgia trying to find a decent replacement short block, and we couldn't. And last night we're at dinner and I get a text from a buddy of mine, my buddy David, my buddy Brandon, and they both said, we know where one is. And turns out a family member rebuilt a 400 out of a 1970 GTO 30 years ago, put a garbage bag on it, threw it in a shed, and left it there. So we met them in a parking lot at 10 o'clock last night in the dark and picked up this, which was rebuilt and is now very dry, very rusty.
They weren't lying, but it doesn't look like it was stored very well. It's clear that it has all the new parts we should need. Right, it's got new pistons, new bearings, new rod bolts, new cam bearings, new freeze plugs, everything. It was properly rebuilt, new rings at one point, but everything above the pistons is pretty rusty.
Yeah, so sadly, instead of just throwing our top end on this thing and getting out of here today, we now need to disassemble this thing, take the rotating assembly out, clean our block, put it in there, put our top end back on it. We're probably out of here late tonight, early tomorrow, if everything goes well.
So all this metal that's in the bottom of the oil pan, I've been trying to get it out for probably 20 minutes. Just keep putting soap and water in. I don't even want to put it in our parts washer because it'll just ruin all of our paint thinner. So I'm trying to do this as a pre-wash. And every time I find a new passageway, you know, it's baffled pan with all its little doors and stuff, there's just little hideaways full of bearing material.
And we can blame you later.
Yeah, I know. This is a dangerous job. I like to do the jobs where there's no possible way that I can be blamed for failure later.
What we're doing is we're going to lap the valves because we did have a little bit of a valve sealing issue, and since we're trying to put this thing back together and not miss anything, this is part of it. So David's washing parts, I'm lapping valves, and hopefully we'll be able to put the heads back together in, I don't know, 2-3 days maybe. No, we'll have it together in a little while. A lot of fun in the sun, lapping valves.
I can't believe how much stuff got trashed when this engine had no oil going through it. Even the valve guides got a little bit boogered, and we're having to go through and file off a little lip that got pulled up by the lock against the retainer. And I'm going through here now after everything has been cleaned up and just lapping the valves back to the seat using the age-old technique with the new technology of a cordless drill of putting a lapping compound on there, holding the end of the valve with a piece of rubber hose clamp it on there, and go to town.
I'm just going to hone the valve guides because, as David said, they're just completely too tight.
This is yet another project that totally snowballed here. I took the heads apart just to clean all the metal out of them because there was junk in them everywhere. And that turned into, maybe we should lap the valves. And that turned into, this stem clearance seems pretty tight. That turned into honing the guides.
That turned into polishing the valve stems.
That turned into polishing the valve stems. This thing's designed specifically for you to hit me in the nuts. Mm-hmm. Works good though. Mm-hmm. Look at the rhythm and the precision. It's almost like a ballet.
It's like a performance ballet.
Yeah, you should wear your tights next time.
Yeah, I'll probably not do that.
No?
No.
You reserve those for when you're alone at night?
Me and tights don't get along.
Really? You and your J. Edgar Hoover poster don't like that?
Whew, that's bad, dude.
Boom, valve springs assembled. Head's done. There you go. Seat and all the keepers, locks.
Everything's ready to go.
I'm gonna drill a bit that way a little bit.
That far, is that good enough? That far enough? I think we're committed to that angle. Wherever it's going is where it's going.
I can't believe you did that.
Yeah.
I didn't think you would. Now the fun part, tapping cast iron. Even at home, sometimes you gotta use the wrong tool for the right job. We're trying to drill and tap our cast iron engine block for an A-end fitting that'll connect our AccuSump to our engine, which is the key to hopefully making the engine live. And I don't have a bottoming tap, and we didn't have the right drill bit, and I'm shortening a standard tap so that I can tap it deeper and get the fitting further into the block. Let's hope it works. Now that the tap is shorter, it should thread in deeper, cutting much more defined threads into our engine block for our fitting. It's no longer, hey, let's get the engine together, back in the car, fix the transmission, and go to several tracks and earn points and win. It is now just, can we get this fitting in this engine block? Once again, kids, lower your standards until you achieve a goal. Any goal. Tuesday night, I like to think we got a lot done today, if a lot means cleaning everything here. We didn't actually get to the assembly part, which sucks because we probably should leave tomorrow if we want to get to the very last racetrack of One Lap America. So I will be staying here all night trying to reassemble the engine, maybe get it in the car, maybe not. There's a lot left to do before we hit the road.
Man, almost done. Feels good to be at this point. Here's the bad news. We were here till 3:30 in the morning last night because if you look really carefully, you might realize that this is not the Pontiac 400 we've been working on the entire time. Nope, that is the motor we started out with in Michigan and we cleaned all day yesterday. The problem was, after all of that work, we discovered that this piston is just tight enough on the rod that we did not trust it. The last thing we needed was another failure. And so we took the 350 Pontiac that's been in the back of Boshear's truck the whole time and stripped the top end off of it and put on our heads, our oil pan, our stuff. But yes, we are just about ready to drop it in the car.
With the engine reassembled and installed, we swapped the hardware from our old transmission over to the new one that Boshear's gave to us. This hopefully solves the problem of our transmission popping out of gear at high speed. Besides that, it's just accessories that need to go in, including an AccuSump system, which will give us the oil control we need to keep our new engine alive on the road course. We've been here since Monday, and
Today is Wednesday.
Today's Wednesday, and the engine's in the car and ready to start. We're crossing our fingers. This is the end of this disaster. because we need to drive 11 hours to Gingerman tomorrow. Hit it.
You ready?
Yes, sir.
Please run. New 350. Perfect. Let's go. Runs good.
Trans feels good.
It's gonna have a deeper first gear and second gear.
All that work, you know what we forgot to do?
What?
Turn the steering wheel straight.
I thought about it. I thought about it at one point and I was like, forget it.
It's all right. Not bad.
Not bad.
Not bad.
The police are right there, watch yourself.
Cop's gonna be like, you're about to get pulled over for having no hood on your car. And Michigan plates that are expired.
Yeah, that expired 20 years ago. Don't pull out, don't pull out, don't pull out.
Come on, cop, you got better things to do than to hassle us. Hear that?
Not the best. What is that?
It's the back of the car.
Yeah, but what is it?
I don't know. When you step on the brake, it stops.
That wheel looks maybe loose.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like right rear.
Oh, it is. I can see it moving.
Okay. We'll go back before the wheel falls off.
Yeah.
All right, but beyond that, she's happy.
Something's real bad.
When you step on the brake, it goes away.
The whole wheel's loose. But it's not loose on the lugs.
Okay, we took it for a little lap around the block, and we almost made it without something that sounds like the wheel's gonna fall off. So it's probably great that we're about to head out on a 1,000-mile journey and then road course this thing around Gingerman. What do you think, David? We're gonna make it?
One way or another. That's what we were hearing when we were wiggling the wheel.
After getting the engine in and running, we went for a test drive, and the engine ran great. And then the axle tried to fall out of the car. So now we're once again working on it, not leaving tonight, really long drive tomorrow.
This is a Pontiac 10 bolt instead of a Chevy type, so it doesn't have a C-clip inside that retains it. It has 4 bolts out here, and they've just come loose and let the axle flop around. Oh no.
What is it?
The bolts are not loose. That's terrible. That means the bearing came off its press. Turns out the problem is that the axle's coming in and out like this. I thought it was because the bolts are loose, but the bearing is gonna be loose on the axle shaft. And so we're gonna slam in one from the other 10 bolt that he's got here. And we gotta lash the valves and stuff. So we got a little more fiddling tonight before we finally hit the road tomorrow morning. Is that actually gonna happen?
Oh, I hope so.
Me too. Yep, look at that.
The car works.
Might even be better.
Overall the same car, probably.
Could be worse.
Let's try it.
Yeah. Thank you, Daniel Boshears.
Nope.
Coming to the rescue. I've changed my goals now. New goal is to end this trip with a Firebird and at least one running out of 4 Pontiac engines.
That would be dope.
Beat Mr. Corvette guy at Gingerman.
That would be great.
At least one lap. Got to beat him. And then, you know, party on. How you doing?
I seen Roadkill and I was sitting right there and I was like, no way. No way.
I'm like,
Hey, yeah, I know.
we're leaving right now, but here's some
Oh,
stickers.
yes, dude. Oh my God, this is awesome.
We made it, the second to the last stop on One Lap of America. This is Gingerman Raceway. We're in South Haven, Michigan, and yesterday was like a 700 plus mile drive,
Yeah, it should have taken 11 hours.
and it took
15, 16?
16 and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was very rough in the cushy as Hellcat.
At one point, I couldn't find one of the USB cords, and so our music had to stop, and there wasn't satellite radio.
Yeah, I don't think the video guys caught that though.
No, how are they going to know how we suffered?
I know. It's been really, really rough.
No, it wasn't.
Whew, it's Friday. We just drove 800 miles in the Firebird. We have a used engine, a brand new gearbox, lots of hope, lots of dreams, and new goals. All we really want to do now is beat 1/4 of the racetrack, which is what we blew up on the last time. So, and doing better than that Corvette would be nice. So we're gonna change the oil right now, adjust the carb a little bit, check the air in the tires, and then I get to go on a road course for the very first time in my dream car.
I'm pretty sure the Firebird's gonna make it. I had my doubts when we first left, but it drove all these miles. It's not making any noises that were any worse than when we left. We'll see.
Oh, I got a wedgie. I'm sure that'll work itself out.
That's a good start.
Okay, got oil pressure. I have a steering wheel. It's really all I need, because the last time this went wrong, we didn't have oil pressure. So as long as I have that and a steering wheel, we're good.
Driver suit wadding up my underwear.
Can't believe I get to go racing! Even if we are dead last, I don't care.
Okay, pulling up, I am next.
Come on. Please work. Please work.
All right, here we go!
I have no idea what turn is over this hill. I'm assuming it's here, because the braking zone's on the right. Yes, it is. I can see where a ton of people have gone off there. I see an apex cone.
Woo-hoo-hoo! I get to do this!
It's a warm-up lap, so theoretically he shouldn't be pushing hard, but it's running. Probably went through some turns with a little bit of G-force. Here it comes. We're driving. We're racing.
All right, here we go.
Come on! Yes! Turn that thing. We're still going. We're still going!
Okay, I'm out of gear. Okay, it doesn't want to stay in third gear. Oh my God, the trans will not stay in third gear. That kind of sucks.
I do not have the brakes for that.
David is gonna be flying. Nice.
There we go. Woo-hoo-hoo! We're hauling ass now. brake, brake.
One more turn.
So the trans jumps out of third gear under acceleration and deceleration.
One lap. We did one lap. We have done one lap in America. That's what they call this, right? One lap in America, guys.
Go, girl, go! Damn it. Pretty much at $3,000, pops out of third gear all on its own. Kinda sucks. But I don't care, because I'm still racing my high school dream car. Woohoo! Finally racing the Firebird on a real road course after all of the late night thrashing to get it running is badass. This car rips. I don't care that the transmission pops out of third gear. The main thing is it's not overheating, the engine is still in one piece, and the RideTech suspension makes this thing stick to the pavement. In the end, everything we've been through has been worth it. I'm even letting Tony turn a few laps in the Firebird, knowing full well he may nuke my motor again. This has definitely been the best day at work ever. David is out there tearing it up in the Hellcat Challenger as well. It's been a cushy trip for him and Alana, and the car has been outstanding on the track despite having old, worn-out brakes. It's a bummer they had to skip most of their week to help us get the Firebird running, but we couldn't have done it without them. After wrapping it up at Gingerman Raceway, we headed back to Tire Rack in South Bend to finish off the week with burnouts and drifting. I hope the yak keeps something on. All in all, despite all of the breakdowns and having to piece together 3 engines to make one that would run, I was able to buy one of my dream cars, build it, road trip it, and race it in one lap of America. Like David said, doing it this way forces us to complete projects that may otherwise sit collecting dust. And that is what Roadkill is all about.
Support companies that support Roadkill. Buy your speed parts at jegs.com. Hey, did you know that Roadkill goes live on Motor Trend On Demand 30 days before it's on YouTube? What? It is true. So we're going to show people a teaser right now on the episode you can go watch at motortrendondemand.com.
Somewhere here on this farm is a 1976 Chevrolet El Camino that at one point went drag racing.
I don't think this is a good idea.
That floor is really hot.
It's from the explosion.
Yeah. This episode of Roadkill is live right now at motortrendondemand.com.
Don't be that guy. So straight ahead. Might have spilled a little there.